I am never going to be the type of person that says my own country is bollocks and then compare it to how fast China is moving forward. I won't do that because I've got too much respect for the people living here in Scotland, and it is beautiful here. The sun is up and this is a beautiful area that I'm standing at. What I have experienced while being back are that people here in Scotland have a progressive mindset. They're looking to engage fully with inclusivity and really engage with other nationalities and other people here living in Scotland, particularly in Glasgow. There is an expectation of high expectations, I suppose, of the respective governments. The Scottish Government, in my opinion, and others, has done decent enough. They are hindered by, I think, the incompetence that we see elsewhere, in particular centre of London. Here in Scotland, people do have a feeling that the country has gone to the dogs, but there is a mindset that they want to do something to turn that around. And that might be a vote for independence, who knows, but I do hope that Scotland finds itself more, and I hope that Scotland discovers the value that it does have in the world, because as a country so full of beauty, hope and intelligence, it deserves to make its own way in the new world that is now taking shape. In that new world, there is no doubt that China is miles ahead of most nations, and I can talk from my own experience, unlike many who have an opinion but they have never been to China. When I do contrast and compare between the UK or Scotland, I am talking in generalisations and about how the people have been let down here in the UK / Scotland. And I am talking because I hope more people here are open-minded and they can see more about what we are sharing in China. And this is supposed to be the most advanced Western society, but I hope that you can see when we share and other vloggers share that you're actually being left behind. Because, well, the truth is that China is growing fast and it is way ahead in many ways, and you really should be questioning about why we do not have the advancements that we see in China, and that you look beyond the story that you're being fed, look beyond that and do some research for yourself. There are many Western bloggers in China, just like me, when I get back to China, just like me. They are from many different nations. The more the merrier, I say. And they are sharing with us, you, everyone, what is happening in China. They are sharing openly about the amazing growth and development with the same excitement that I have done and what I will do when I get back to China. The experience in China is fantastic, and I hope that you take the time out to watch some of their incredible vlogs, because they are doing amazing work in sharing with everyone the real China and not the story that you're told to believe. Hi all, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Ian, here in Scotland. I actually live in Beijing, and I have done for just under 8 years, but I have been back in Scotland for a few weeks now after 3.5 years of not being able to travel because of COVID, and I have been pleasantly surprised at how great Scotland is looking. I have made some videos about that, and you can see them on my channel and some links above there, but there is always a but I can again say that there is some things that do stand out in contrast to what I see as positives in China, which I don't actually see here in Scotland and UK for that matter. So first up is the cleanliness, and I'm talking about most of the cities here, because countryside is countryside and it's beautiful here. I'm going to show you a little bit during this video where I am. But I'm talking about cleanliness. In Beijing, where I live, there are always people cleaning, and there is no graffiti and no chewing gum stuck to the pavements, etc. In the cities here that I have visited in Scotland, and for what I know from speaking to friends in England, the cities are filthy. The streets are in need of a clean, bins are overflowing and encircled with horrible stains, walls are graffitied, Pavements, corners are stained, and well, what else can I say? The streets here are just bogging, which is a Scottish word for filthy, disgusting. And for the record, it is not just Beijing that is super clean. I have been in 17 cities in China, and it's always the same, very clean and well maintained, and the cleanliness just doesn't stop in the city. It actually extends into the transport system, the local amenities and the public toilets, etc. And I'm used to that cleanliness, so the first thing I noticed when I arrived back was how terribly dirty everything was. And I know that is because of the drastic underfunding, but it just shouldn't be that way. It's just a little bit grubby, and it's not good for tourism. Second up, and on the back of what I just said there, is the lack of funding. The lack of spending and funding on the infrastructure is obvious. And although it is acceptable because it is what you have been used to, you have no benchmark. So I understand that. You've got nothing to compare it to. I can tell you that there is another way. And you can see that when you look at how advanced the infrastructure in China actually is. And you can do your own comparison if you go on to some of the vlogs that I've mentioned and look at what they're sharing from inside of China. I'm talking about everything from high-speed rail, road systems, bridges, bike lanes, electric vehicles, and the infrastructure to support that electric vehicle system. I'm even talking about automated vehicles. They are now in operation in parts of Beijing. I mean, China has a fully operational space station and full of astronauts exploring space. Did you know that? It is amazing. And that basically was because America wouldn't allow China access to the International Space Station. So what did China do? They built its own. Okay, so third up here is something that's a little bit sensitive, and I have to be careful on how I say this. But what I did notice when I came back to Scotland is that people are larger in size than people in China. And I have even put on the weight since I've came back to Scotland. I think it's to do with exercise, culture, diet, and how fresh the food is in China compared to the West. Health is taken very seriously in China, and it's almost a national obsession with keeping fit, healthy, and hydrated. I also think a big part of it is the amount of processed food and fast food that we do eat here in comparison to what is eaten in China. In China, it is cheap to get decent, freshly made food or to buy the ingredients fresh and make something yourself. But I have noticed that to eat healthy in Scotland, it is expensive, and in the current cost of living crisis or profit gouging, depends on how you look at it, people are getting guided towards the cheaper, less healthy options, which often have bigger margins and more profit. Things are so expensive here. I have been shocked at some of the prices. And also, there is a distinct lack of cheaper options. And I don't honestly know how people can afford to live at the current prices. It's shocking. It is beautiful here, and I'm going to share some of the surrounding area with you as I walk and talk. But to finish up this video, walking talk vlog, no country is perfect, and everyone is kind of used to what they are used to exploring and experiencing in their own community. But what I see in China is a country that is progressing fast and taking its people with it. What I see here in the West are governments that have done nothing but take advantage of their people and have pushed an aggressive agenda of politics that has encouraged people to hate each other, hate their neighbours, and even more, project that hate onto other nations. At the moment, you're being taught by the media to hate China because that's what the powers that be want you to do. They are sending you that mindset to hate others. They're seeding the idea of war. And even though China is not an aggressive nation and have not been in conflict for over 40 years, they actually, powers that be, actually want you to look in a different direction from blaming them, and they want you to look at others and giving you that incentive to look at others and seeding this idea of war, instead of giving you the intellectual space and the knowledge for you to ask questions of them. Governments and leaders of the Western nations are taking advantage of you. I ask you to look into the detail yourself, keep an open mind, do some research. I ask you to keep peace in your heart, check in with other bloggers from China. And as always, this is Ian in Scotland, soon to be back in Beijing, saying look after yourself, look after your family, and look after your community. Peace out.